Insurance is a common expense for many people, but understanding the ins and outs of coverage can be challenging. In this episode, we delve into the vital role of the New Hampshire Insurance Department in safeguarding your personal and financial well-being. Join us as Deputy Insurance Commissioner Keith Nyhan shares insights on common insurance issues, essential coverage tips, and the many resources available to help you navigate the complexities of insurance. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Triangle's Making Money Personal podcast, where we engage in real talk about financial matters that affect our community. Today's episode is sponsored by Triangle Credit Union, recently voted Best Credit Union in New Hampshire.
Welcome to the Making Money Personal podcast, everybody. I'm Liz Costa here with Terry.
Hello.
We're both excited to present today's guest, Keith Nyhan from the New Hampshire Insurance Department.
Thank you very much for having us here. Certainly on behalf of the department and Commissioner Betancourt, we love to speak with the public and love to get our message out. So thank you for having us.
Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited to have you here. So I think we just want to start this whole discussion about insurance just by starting with you.
Sure, but I won't go back too far. But, it's a kind of a reoccurring theme with most insurance professionals that I've ever spoken to is nobody plans to get involved in the insurance industry when you're picking a major in college or even planning your career. I mean, heck, I wanted to be an astronaut. So here I am talking about insurance. But actually, both of my parents worked in the insurance industry for their entire careers. Again, neither one had any intention of doing so. But it's a career which I think has supported a lot of families. I joined the insurance department approximately 17 and a half years ago. And prior to that, having left the military, I was looking for a job and ended up working at John Hancock. So I worked there for in excess of 12 years before joining the insurance department. Joining the insurance department, I've held many roles. The primary one when I first joined was that of a market conduct examiner or investigator, which is kind of like someone who would go in and do an operations audit of an insurance company. And then that led into and leveraged some roles I had when I was with John Hancock. I served as the department's Consumer Services Director for, I'm going to guess, about 10 years. And then most recently, about a year and a half ago, I became Deputy Commissioner. And it's, if you like insurance, the insurance department is the place to be because it never changes. I'm sorry, it constantly changes. There's never a dull moment. And there's many different kinds of insurance. So it's a role I've held for, like I said, 17 and a half years. And it's definitely, I've found my fit. It's a place I like to be. So,
are you a native to New Hampshire?
I am. I was actually born and raised here. I was born in 1967. Mm-hmm. And as I said, my parents worked locally in New Hampshire in the insurance industry. And other than my time spent in the military and away in college, I've called New Hampshire home. So,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love the Granite State.
Yeah.
So how long has the department itself been running?
Great question. This is the next time I'm at the 99, they have trivia night. Here's one for that I should share the question, which is the New Hampshire Insurance Department was formed in 1851. And the trivia-worthy part is we were the first insurance regulatory body in the United States, in the country.
Wow.
They say, insurance is the second oldest profession, and certainly insurance goes way back, and New Hampshire was one of the first. And if you go to our website, and AJ probably knows the history better than I do, you can actually go look on the About Us section and see all the past commissioners. And it's, going back nearly 200 years, it's quite a stretch.
Yeah.
Very proud history.
There's us. We're going to talk so much about insurance today, but I don't know if you've ever watched the movie The Blind Side.
Yes.
But there's an intro, like in that, I think it was Sandra Bullock plays like the mom, right? And you hear her voice and she's like, they're outside of your mortgage, there's the second highest payment that you make in your budget is your insurance. So that's why we all kind of need to step up and listen, right?
So what I'm hearing is what we can promote. So we have to make note of this for our future outreach events is we are the left tackle of
there you
the
go.
financial
That's
services world.
That's perfect.
Great. No, it's a great analogy. There are other movies that have touched upon insurance, and I was kind of a theme in our house is, Groundhog Day coming up this week. And there's this scene during Groundhog Day where there's this insurance agent running down the street, and his name's Ed Ryerson. So, yeah, hopefully we fall somewhere, most of us fall somewhere between Michael Orr and Ned Ryerson. So,
What would you say the overall mission of this department is? I mean, it was started way back.
Sure.
So is it the same mission as it was established way back then, or has it?
No, I'm going to I'll say no. I don't know what the mission was formally back in 1851. I'm going to say about 7 years ago, the department took it upon itself to, if not rebrand itself, certainly review its mission statement. And we actually have a new mission statement, which is to promote and protect the public good by ensuring the existence of a safe and competitive insurance marketplace through the development and enforcement of the insurance laws of the state of New Hampshire. And we're committed to doing so in an efficient and effective manner, honest integrity. So obviously it's a mission statement. It's wordy, but it's trying to cut to the point. I would say at the core of what we do is consumer protection. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I'm actually thrilled to be here today on this podcast is to, promote the department, help people find us. We have a great track record of consumer protection, but we feel that not enough people know how to find us. Mm-hmm. We are a government agency where our services are free to our residents. And what we do is we help people with insurance problems, whether it be looking for coverage, having questions about policies that people may have, or in some cases, helping resolve fairly complicated issues. And, we can talk more about this as we get into the podcast, but our Consumer Services unit, which is kind of the ears, eyes, and face of the insurance department, last year alone helped recover more than $6.5 million for individuals in the state of New Hampshire. And it might be denied claims, it might be access to coverage, and think in the context of health insurance, most of us have an HMO plan, which requires to get a pre-authorization for coverage of certain treatments, and sometimes insurance companies deny those. We can get involved and help the consumer, help our residents navigate that complicated process. And, then you can touch upon auto insurance and homeowners insurance and workers' comp insurance. And there's all different kinds of insurances. Yeah. But, no, we're here to help, and we're here to protect consumers. And kind of along that line is almost a mantra that I tell people is when I'm asked, what do you do at the insurance department? Well, we're kind of like the insurance police. Mm-hmm. We don't make laws and rules, but we do enforce the laws and rules that our legislature has given us. And we take that role very seriously.
Honestly, Keith, I'm so glad you're here. This is, you're opening up my eyes for sure. And I feel like that as a consumer, so often when there's an insurance issue, we'll call it an issue, right? So, a lot of times you might get denials, or, you just don't know where to start because these guys have this huge company backing and you have nothing, right? It's like, where do I go from here? And now it seems like we know, if we have an issue, we, at least there's an advocate, right? So that there's a place to start.
Without question. I think, certainly through the podcast, I can certainly promote, our 800 number, 800-852-3416. And, hopefully, we can get some more messaging out around that. We have, email addresses and everything. But without question, our consumer, let me just kind of transition here a little bit, but kind of give a little bit more background about how the insurance department is structured. Then I definitely want to come back to this consumer protection piece, because that is our bread and butter. Consumer protection in the insurance department, I've often thought of as almost as a stool of protection. You have three legs and a seat upon which we're all going to sit. In that seat, if you will, that platform, which really shores up consumer protection, is the department's financial regulation unit. And this is a team of individuals, primarily financial analysts, as well as financial examiners. Their sole mission is to look at the financial strength of the insurance companies that issue policies in the state of New Hampshire, to make sure that those companies remain financially solvent, such that when an individual has a claim, that company has the money to pay the claims. So without question, that's the most important thing, in my opinion, that the department does. The public doesn't see that part of it that often. So then we kind of get into what those three legs of consumer protection are for the department. And I kind of think of it as the beginning, the middle, and the end, or the what happens prior to someone buying an insurance policy, what happens when somebody owns an insurance policy, and what happens on the other end. So our compliance team, so this is the first leg of the stool, consists of individuals who review what we call forms. A form could be an application for a policy, the actual policy document itself, the amendments, the addendums, the riders, all of that contractual language, and other related types of forms that you, the consumer, receive during an insurance transaction. That particular unit looks at every single piece of paper to make sure those forms comply with state laws, disclosures, font type, all that relevant information. So that's kind of a pre-sale consumer protection. I wish I had the numbers off the top of my head. There's a lot of work that's done in that unit. And some very, very smart people that are, have to be familiar not just with health insurance laws or automobile insurance laws, all the laws.
Right.
And we separate that out into two different divisions, our property and casualty team, homeowners insurance, automobile insurance, and then our life and health team, life insurance, annuities, and health insurance. So there are some specialties, but we have a team specifically that looks at documentation. On the back end, consumer services sit in the middle. Again, I don't want to come back to that because that's what I think our listeners are going to be interested in. On the back end is the market conduct team. And the market conduct team, when an issue of concern is identified, and it could be something that's identified by our consumer unit, it could be monitoring what's going on in the news and saying, geez, this company's having an issue. This particular unit will actually embed itself in the operations of the insurance company, doing an operational audit to make sure that the company's not engaging in any systemic practices that are harming consumers on a broad level. That's the unit that I started in, as I mentioned, 17 and a half years ago. It's tremendously rewarding when you're tipped off that, hey, company XYZ, we don't believe is paying claims properly. And then we send our team in and they do a deep dive forensic operational audit, and they find out that consistently a company is shortchanging consumers $100 on every transaction, and we order the company, this is all hypothetical, to pay everybody back $100 to the tune of $1.5 million. So it's a post-issued operations audit. The groups have tremendous success. But sitting in the middle is the bread and butter. It's the consumer services team. That team, again, ears, eyes of the organization, 800-852-3416 if you're out there listening, consists of 7 individuals. And these individuals have varying backgrounds of expertise, some on the health insurance side, some on the disability side. Auto insurance, homeowners insurance are kind of the keys. Yeah. There's a director and a team leader, 4 subject matter experts, and kind of a workflow coordinator. Collectively, this team of 7 last year handled approximately 6,000 of individual cases. And, of those 6,000 cases, most of those look like just general questions from the public. Hey, I'm thinking of buying an automobile policy. What should I look at? Sometimes they get more complicated about, I have an insurance claim. My agent says this, the company says why. What do I need to do? So our team will get involved in those. And, I know we had talked about our department mission of consumer protection. The mission of the consumer unit itself has its own mission, which is to educate, navigate, and investigate consumer concerns. Is it an education component? Help navigate those complexities of the insurance industry. And then lastly, that investigative component, which is the one that people typically think of. Diving more into that, of that 6,000 cases that we just mentioned, approximately 1,200 end up in formal investigations. A formal investigation is typically triggered by an individual submitting a concern in writing. We love to see something in black and white in a consumer's own words, explaining what a problem is. And it's typically relates to a claim or a way a product is sold. And we can give some examples. What we do when we have a formal grievance, we communicate with, typically in writing and over the phone, with our licensees, in this case insurance companies, to say, hey, you're insured. Your consumer has expressed the fact that he or she didn't get enough money in their automobile claim settlement. Mm-hmm. What's going on? What happened? Tell us about it. And our investigators, who are as equally adept at reading the law and familiar with the law as our compliance team, they will break down the company's response, looking for violations of state law, state regulations. When appropriate, advocate for the consumer to help that consumer see resolution. The true mission in there is, while we're not consumer advocates, we do occasionally get to put on that white hat and kind of champion the causes. What we do is we enforce the laws and rules. But that unit of all of those employees, they're the ones who get to help consumers on a day-to-day basis with these specific issues. And notably, last year they helped recover $6.5 million for those 1,200 consumers. That's money they would not have received without our involvement. Right. I guess if I can, I'll give you a quick example. In my years as the Consumer Services Director, the largest recovery that one of my staff members was involved in was about $1.6 million for one consumer. And it was perhaps the easiest investigation we ever had. It was around suitability of annuity products. And when you think about issues that can go wrong with insurance, on a life insurance policy, you're either dead or you're not. Typically, what triggers a life insurance claim is the death. It's really not a lot goes on with that. On a health insurance complaint, it's typically someone complaining about somebody's not giving me the coverage I need. On an annuity, which is a type of an insurance product, it's never about the claim, because typically it ties to the life insurance benefit. Someone's either passed away or not. It's about how the policy was sold. Was the person misled? Was the product misrepresented? Did the agent or producer, as we call them, sell the product to someone who couldn't afford it? So this particular annuity case was about a suitability misrepresentation sale. When I was at Hancock, I used to work in their annuity compliance unit. I took a look at it and picked up the phone and called. And the gentleman on the other end of the phone was an attorney who said, "Hey, Keith, I'm going to cut to the chase on this when I retire next week. Yeah, this guy did all the wrong things. We'll send the money back." It took about 15 minutes.
Wow.
But that was not the most significant recovery we've ever had, because the one that's always stuck in the back of my mind is there was a woman she was a retired school teacher in the southern part of the state of New Hampshire, who she and her husband had relocated up into the Lakes region. And it was a particular sale. It was another annuity contract, coincidentally. The agent had convinced this couple to purchase an annuity contract that was not right for them. They didn't have the financial means to tie up their retirement savings in a contract that they didn't have access to. And we fought for that one. And it was about $36,000 of recovery for this particular family. And that was more meaningful to that family than the $1.6 million recovery was for this other case I gave to you. And I bring that up because we honestly believe there's no issue too small for us to help. And it's those human touch points that really make the job worthwhile, where we see our value day to day for the residents of New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I think that particularly in today's environment, there's a lot of press lately about insurance stuff going on around, particularly with, like, one thing that came to mind is the wildfires in California and, the whole insurance issue that people are having over there. Is there some, I don't know if they have a department similar to yours, or if, how...
So, boy, I know we didn't talk about these questions, but you're doing some great segues for me.
It's coming to my head.
So I'm going to touch upon two quick things here, but I want to come back to one thing in particular, which is the impact of the wildfires in California, or the flooding in the Gulf, or these major catastrophic events, and what impact those events have on New Hampshire insureds. But you kind of led that off by saying what's going on in California. Every state in the nation has its own insurance department. Insurance is the last bastion of state-based regulation when you think of what goes on in the financial services community. We don't have a federal regulator in the state of New Hampshire, like the FDIC for banking, that actually oversees insurance regulation. There is an office called the Federal Insurance Office, which is an advisory group. But as far as tactical insurance regulation, it's left up to each individual state. The states, however, over the years have developed an organization called the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, which, as the name suggests, it's all 50 state insurance departments through the commissioners in their staffs, as well as the 5-6 territories we have, all come together 6 times a year and throughout the year to develop laws and rules that are uniform from state to state, because this is what insurance companies want. When you think of large insurance companies such as one of the big ones you hear about, State Farm, Geico, those companies write in all 50 states. When each state has disparate laws and rules, it's very difficult for those companies to do business. And it happens. There's always nuance and differences. But the NAIC is really tasked, among other things, for trying to help develop uniform laws and rules. So yes, every state has its own insurance department. For anybody in the listening public, whether it be here in New Hampshire or across our borders in Massachusetts, if you're looking to identify contact information for your state insurance department, you can go to naic.org. That's National Association of Insurance Commissioners, naic.org. And right there on the landing page, there's a section where you can choose your state, and it will bring you right to that state's webpage. If you're a service member living outside of your home state and you've purchased your policy, let's talk about New Hampshire. If you're a New Hampshire resident service member living in any other state and you purchased an insurance policy in the state of New Hampshire, call New Hampshire. You want to typically contact the insurance department of the state in which it was purchased. So
Makes sense.
Definitely. But let's, if you don't mind, let's go back to the wildfires, which is, we here in New Hampshire like to think of ourselves as kind of, we're independent, we're granite and we kind of stand off on our own. Insurance industry is a national industry. An international industry. There's a lot of touch points. So when we hear about wildfires, and as Commissioner Betancourt likes to talk about, we at the department don't have an opinion on climate change, if you will, but what we can tell you is the evidence is overwhelmingly supports that the number of catastrophic weather events and the severity of those events has increased. Yeah. The data cannot be disputed. What that means for our insureds is as more and more of these catastrophic events occur, it is impacting our rates here in New Hampshire. And most folks kind of question, how does that occur?
Right.
So when you think about it, the insurance companies, and I'm going to use, this is homeowners insurance we're talking about. Most individuals who own their own home have homeowners insurance because their banks require that there be homeowners insurance. Well, those insurance companies, they look at the risk of weather events and different types of perils to your property, and they come up with a premium, and that's what they charge you. Across all of the policies that company sells in the state of New Hampshire, they have a risk tolerance. And that insurance company doesn't necessarily have the financial strength, or probably the better way to put it is they don't have the financial appetite to assume all of that risk themselves. So they take a portion of that pooled risk and they sell it or insure it with another insurance company. And these are what we call these global reinsurance companies. So a common term in the insurance industry is reinsurance. Company, lots of policies in New Hampshire, needs to reinsurance business. There are several global reinsurers. Well, these are the same reinsurers that are reinsuring property in California. So as all of those California wildfires develop claims, those reinsurers are incurring losses. That loss gets shared amongst all of their consumers, which are those companies in New Hampshire. So those fires, floods, hurricanes across the U.S. do impact the premiums here in New Hampshire. Those losses out in California, and God bless those individuals out there. I wish them the best of luck in recovering. But those losses will inevitably have some impact on premium rates here in New Hampshire for the years to come. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. There are many, many factors that influence premium rating. But we do not sit on an island. We're not, It's just not us here in the United States. It's all interconnected.
Is some of that due to the high value of these properties that were destroyed?
Sure. Those properties extremely high value, and they were completely destroyed. These homes aren't being, repaired. These homes need to be rebuilt.
Right.
Yeah.
Major catastrophic losses.
Now, real quick, what about the situation with the pulling of some of the insurance? Like, didn't some of those homeowners lose their insurance like a week or so before their homes were destroyed? Or if you don't want to go.
No, certainly, we hear these things as well. I haven't spoken to my friends in California to find out what the real state of things are. But yes, there were. Typically what happens is there are two different types of, I don't want to oversimplify. The insurance markets are complicated. We have what we refer to as admitted insurance companies. The admitted insurance companies are the ones that you typically hear about on the news every single day. We license them. They have to follow our rules and regulations. And then we have what we call the non-admitted carriers or the surplus lines companies. And these are those big companies that you may have heard of, like Lloyd's of London, Barclay. They don't have to follow all of our state laws and regulations. Those companies insure many, many different types of risks. So while I don't know the exact situation in California, I do believe you're probably correct that a lot of those admitted companies probably dropped that risk because they didn't want it because they knew it was risky.
Right.
Hopefully those insureds were able to find insurance in that surplus lines market. Typically it's much more expensive and has less coverage. I guess I don't want to say there's any silver lining in this. Those are some high value homes. If the reports I see on TV about all the celebrities, that were impacted, hopefully they have the premiums or the assets available to pay those higher premiums. But
I'm a pretty frugal consumer, and so to hear you say that it's going to be an impact, I have to say that there's a part of me that's like that goes right to my core, like it's that's going to hit my budget. But there's another part of me that's more empathetic, and that part of me is saying, it's for the greater good, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
That's what the insurance is for, just in terms of, like you explained, Keith, like there's a pool of money, there's a pool of those of us who are insured. And, when one part of the pool is getting hit, the other part of the pool has to make up for it, right?
You have summed up the foundation of insurance very well. It's shared risk, and that's essentially what we're doing is we're all pooling our monies together to ensure that one property is impacted. It's all pulling together. It's pooled risk. It's shared risk. Yeah, absolutely. But we don't operate independently. And that's why these large catastrophic events, they don't hit one property. They hit entire communities.
Right.
And that's where that exposure becomes so high.
Yeah. Good.
So we have to do a separate podcast just on the reinsurance market.
Good. I didn't even know about that whole aspect of it.
Definitely.
Wow. Yeah. Well, at this time, we will take a quick break and for a word from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back.
Great. Thank you.
Ready for a new ride? Get the right financing for your new car or truck with an auto loan from Triangle Credit Union. We offer some great rates for vehicles of all types and model years. With terms up to 84 months on newer vehicles for both purchase and refinance, you can get a great car with a great monthly payment. Visit our website and try the AutoSmart online search tool for an easy, hassle-free shopping experience. Search our local certified dealers for the right car at the right price, right from the comfort of your couch. Don't wait. Finance your new car or truck today with a Triangle Auto Loan and get ready to roll.
Welcome back. Okay, so for everyone listening, we're talking with Keith Nyhan from the New Hampshire Insurance Department. And Keith, we talked a lot about, the structure of the division, what its purpose and its mission is. But let's kind of get into a little bit about like what some of the aspects are that people should think about or keep in mind when they're shopping insurance.
Oh, absolutely. So there is one thing which consumers can do, which is very important in helping consumers keep those premiums down. So I'm going to use myself as an example. And for years, the department tells anybody who calls, geez, my premium rates are going up. We just talked about home insurance, homeowners insurance. My rates are going up. My automobile insurance is going up. What can I do, Keith? And what we've always told people is shop your coverage. The one thing that we know is most insurances have built-in escalation provisions so that from year to year, you're seeing a slight increase. Typically, it's to keep pace with inflation.
Yeah.
But some insurance carriers offer programs where it's cheaper to be a first-time consumer. So we always tell consumers, if your rates are going up, shop your coverage. There's really no loyalty rewards for staying with the same insurance company for 20 years. It's what's the benefit? So shop your coverage. Reach out to a local producer, local agent. I'll come back to that, and shop your coverage. And by example, I have 3 children. 2 of them, actually they all drive now, but this is when my oldest first became a driver. The company sent me, hey, congratulations, you got a new driver on the policy. I looked at the rates and nearly choked and said, how much is this going to be? So I said, I'm going to take my own advice. And I had never done it. I'd been at the department for 10 years. So I called my insurance agent and said, hey, Dave, I need your help. And the insurance agent went out and shopped the companies that he writes business with and came back and said, you want to know what? You're in the best rates. The best place you are right now. The company you're with offers the best rates. I said, yeah, but did you shop me as a new consumer? And he said, I'll get back to you. 24 hours later, for the exact same coverage, I saved over $800.
Wow.
So shopping as a new consumer can be very beneficial. So the first thing we tell consumers is reach out to your existing agent or producer and ask those questions. Hey, I've been with the same companies for X number of years. Can you shop my coverage for me? Can you make sure I'm still getting the best deal available?
Right.
And that agent or producer is going to do his or her job, and they're going to shop it around and get you the best deal for you. That's how everybody wins. Mm-hmm. So definitely shop your coverage. And if the listening public has any idea, I don't know who my agent is, or maybe you purchased a plan online. If you're looking to connect with a local insurance agent, there's an organization that we partner with at the insurance department, which is called the Independent Insurance Agents of New Hampshire. They're referred to as the Big I sometimes. The contact information for the Big I is bigINH.com. The phone number, the local phone number in New Hampshire is 603-224-3965. And what it is, this is an association of independent agents that are going to write not for a specific company, but for a group of companies. Reach out to this organization. The organization will connect you with an insurance producer in your local community, somebody who you may have seen at a sporting event, at a band event. They'll connect you with somebody locally who can help you, listen to you, identify what coverage needs you have, and shop it appropriately for you.
Nice.
So definitely bigINH.com.
And that's for all kinds of insurance, right?
Any kind of insurance
Okay.
you can imagine, health insurance, and typically, when we talk insurance with consumers, it is homeowners insurance, automobile insurance, health insurance, life insurance. No, that organization can connect consumers with a producer who can help with business insurance needs, anything that's needed.
I was just talking to someone who found out we were having you on the podcast, and they were like, oh man, I'm having trouble with insurance right now. They're like, I'm trying to buy a house for a rental property, and they're having trouble getting insurance for the property because it needs a new roof. And they're finding in their particular case, they're not able to, no one seems to want to cover them at all. So would a situation like that be something someone would reach out for?
Absolutely. And we at the department can give opinions as to why the roof might not be covered. Ultimately, the insurance company has its own appetite for risk. Maybe the roof is old. Maybe it's 22 years old and the shingles are starting to curl. I don't know what that particular situation is. Maybe it's not something quite that obvious. Regardless, let's connect to a local agent, because that local agent, in addition to shopping it with not just one, but lots of insurance companies, if there's truly no outlet for that coverage, that agent can then look to that surplus lines market that we talked about to help find coverage in the non-admitted market. Mm-hmm. Definitely have this particular listener contact. Again, I'll mention it, bigINH.com, 603-224-3965. Connect to a local agent, explain your situation. It's the best way to get help as quickly and efficiently.
Yeah. Because as a consumer, I would feel, if I were in their situation, I'd be like, I would just want to throw up my hands at that point and be like, I don't even know where to go to find this.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
You feel like you're one against this.
You
don't really feel like you
it's
have
one
a lot
man
of,
against the machine.
Yeah, like you don't really have a lot of
well,
control over that. You're kind of just like, well, if I can't find it, I can't find it.
Well, we are here to keep the machine in line and well oiled. But you mentioned a roof. I'm going to give you kind of a little glimpse into a bulletin the department plans on releasing within the next week, which is we've had a number of complaints from homeowner insured saying that their insurance companies are using drones or aerial imagery to look at roof conditions to say, yes, we're gonna give you insurance, or no, we're not. If an insured, a potential insured or an existing insured, if the company is using aerial imagery and saying that your roof needs to be replaced, and you disagree, and you think that having visual eyes on that roof is important, reach out, work with your producer, work with the insurance company. The department bulletin is going to say, no, the company has to do a thorough investigation of that roof. They cannot rely upon aerial imagery if there's a reasonable belief. And again, consumers saying, I don't agree with you, need to come and inspect that roof. So anyway.
That's great.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely awesome to have some groups like you guys, in our arena. We appreciate all the help that you provide. Like I said, I mean, when it comes to insurance, my brain's like, okay, like you just kind of take what you're given. And for me, like I'm not really proactive about it. So to know that there's resources available, for consumers to kind of just ensure that they're not, they're getting the best thing for them, their needs, right?
I also think for younger people in particular who are not used to reading, boring black and white insurance policies, the way we communicate as a regulatory body has had to change. Again, podcasts, webinars, these types of non-traditional media events, very important to helping people understand what coverages are. And
well, actually, that being said, I mean, I was told you guys put out a bunch of resources and stuff. Like, what kinds of platforms do you use? What kinds of education do you put out there?
So please go to our website, and that is insurance.nh.gov on our homepage, and you can link to, we have a YouTube page. There's we've done podcasts and webinars, and we have really tried to provide bite-sized pieces of insurance information for consumers, whether it be information about the use of aftermarket parts in fixing your automobile, or what to be on the lookout for when purchasing life insurance. Please go to our website, and we do link to primarily YouTube, but there's some other, I think we do some stuff on Facebook as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because, I mean, in the past, you would maybe go to a website and read an article or something, or you just take your local insurance company's word for it. So it's nice to have these other platforms to learn
absolutely.
from.
We're trying to get the word out there. You know, we are. I think I said at the top of our podcast, the insurance department is here to help. Insurance is complicated. You have a friend. We're here at the insurance department. We're here to help you. Contact us, and we will do whatever we can to help you with, again, educating you about the product, navigating about a particular issue, or investigating a real complaint. We're here to help you. Again, no cost to New Hampshire residents or any resident for that matter.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you might have mentioned this a little bit, but just for our listeners' awareness, you also do business too, right? You help businesses?
We consider
business resources.
We consider businesses consumers.
You do? Okay.
So if there's a small business owner out there that's having a problem with liability coverage, let us know. Reach out, and if we don't have the answer, which I'm pretty sure we will, we can connect you with resources who can assist.
Okay, well, at this point, I guess you already shared a lot of resources. You shared websites and links and stuff like that. But if someone wants to get in contact with you right away, if they're like, oh man, I like what Keith said here, I need to talk to them, where would you send them?
Right away, please give us a call, 800-852-3416. That is the department's Consumer Services Hotline. And we're also available by email, which is consumerservices@ins.nh.gov. And that goes to our consumer services inbox, and that's monitored by no less than 3 people every day. We try to have responses out within 24 hours on simple questions. But again, we are also staffed 8 to 4:30 every day. Give us a call. That's the quickest and easiest way to reach someone with a question.
Fantastic. Well, I will share all those links.
Thank you.
And numbers and everything in the show notes so people can easily click and head right there. So anything else you want to share at the moment, or?
No, I see we're going to do a rapid fire, so I'm
I was going to say,
myself.
If there's nothing else coming, I'm going to just bring us right into this rapid fire segment.
I feel like this is New Hampshire's version of You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader or Stump the Chump. I don't know, but I'm ready. Let's hope I don't embarrass myself.
So, Keith, this is, honestly, you did share some tremendous information, very insightful. And, again, as somebody who lives in New Hampshire, I so appreciate your department and what you shared today. But it sounds like that whether you're in New Hampshire or other parts of the country, you should be able to look that up, right, within your own state. So, but thank you for sharing that. Now we get to know a little bit more about Keith. So we're going to be doing rapid fire. I've got 10 questions.
10. That's not the first
That's not the first one. These are actually either or questions.
Okay.
So, and you don't have to give any explanation. I'm going to ask you either or, and then you just, if you want to give some more insight, that's fine.
All right, this is going to be fun.
He's gearing up with his water now. Okay, here we go. Hampton Beach or North Conway?
North Conway.
Game night or movie night?
I hate game night. God. Movie night.
Movie night, okay. Steak or seafood?
Steak.
ESPN or History Channel?
I love sports. I love the History Channel, but I have to go with ESPN. Sorry, my wife Sarah. Sorry, Sarah. She's a history man.
Staycation or vacation?
Vacation. I love to travel. When I was in the military, I lived overseas in Europe, and I love traveling. It's a guilty pleasure that I don't do enough. So.
Same. Sneakers or sandals?
Sneakers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tea or coffee?
Without question, 100% coffee. Tea drinkers, I love you, but keep your tea to yourself, please.
Skiing or snow sledding?
Snow sledding. Interesting stuff. Can I go on a tangent?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, born and raised here in New Hampshire, in Concord. And, they didn't make snow when I was a kid. So, they used to have these school programs. I think they still do them. You can sign up and ski on Friday afternoons with you.
Right.
I signed up for ski lessons as like a second grader. That was the year we didn't have any snow. This is probably back in like 74 or something. I've skied 3 times in my life. I'm terrible at it. Put me in a sled. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like, I will say I'm also a skier, and we sometimes ski on ice, which is not the greatest, right, in the East. So, okay. Pizza or tacos?
This is rapid fire. I got to think about this one. I'm going to go with tacos. I've been on this Mexican kick lately. Where
yeah.
you just can't beat it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, last one, Keith. Right. Fiction or nonfiction?
Can I go historical fiction?
Yeah, of course you can.
Historical fiction. There's a great series of books out there written by the Shara family. Historical fiction around, pick your time period of, started off with the Civil War. There's a famous book called The Killer Angels, written by, I think it's Jeff Shara, father-son team, prize-winning book. They made movies about it called The Killer Angels, about the Civil War. The son has gone on to write stories about World War I, World War II,
nice.
Spanish-American War, and it's history told through the eyes of the characters who participated. Fascinating book. So Shaara, I believe is how you write the author's name, but I love historical fiction.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. My husband does as well. So you've now just given me some ideas for next Christmas. So thank you.
Awesome. That ends the rapid fire. Thank you so much, Keith, for coming in.
No, I've had a very good time being here today. Thank you for inviting us. Happy to help out, and thank you for helping the department get its message out to insureds.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Call us. We're here to help. Yeah.
We want to provide these resources for our members and listeners who might be struggling with something, or maybe they're just starting out in life, or, to give them as much information and resources as possible is what we're trying to do. So thank you for helping us.
Absolutely. I'm going to you just mentioned people starting off in life. There are some key pieces of insurance that young people need to know about, whether you're graduating from high school, graduating from college, starting a new family. get renter's insurance. Renter's insurance is very important. It's the renter's equivalent of homeowner's insurance. Automobile insurance is not required in the state of New Hampshire. You don't want to be caught without automobile insurance. Look into that. And then for young families, there's no cheaper time to buy life insurance than when you are young. So starting off, look into those insurances. You won't have any regrets.
Right.
Awesome.
100%.
Thank you so much, Keith.
You're welcome.
We
Have a nice day,
appreciate
ladies.
coming in.
Thank you, Keith.
That wraps up this episode of the Making Money Personal podcast. If you've enjoyed today's show, we would love to hear from you. Email your thoughts about this show or any other ideas at tcupodcast@trianglecu.org. Thank you to all of our subscribers, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss out on any new episodes or money tips. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.